Hello, and welcome to another video. This time looking at some Argatoria, namely the Gaeldor heroes, and Marhok, which might be how that's pronounced. These are 10mm models from Spellcrow, and Argatoria itself is a sort of ancient barbarian fantasy world, so big Conan vibes. Marhok comes with 8 regular barbarian warriors. We've seen those before, so not going to look at them too much. And the model himself is this Celtic-looking warlord riding on top of this bison. Then moving to the Gaeldor heroes, which represent your command figures. We have 2 wizardy types and 2 warrior types, along with a bear and a wolf. So you can mix and match these and put the 2 animals with whichever character you think needs them. There are very few, if any, mold lines to clean up. You do need to clip them off the gate though, but before you do that, you want to give them a wash with some washing up liquid and a toothbrush, just to get any release agent off. You do have to be careful with resin, as sometimes it can chunk off and break off a piece you didn't intend to. So it's easier to clip with a slight gap, and then trim the gap down. Marhok sits very flush on the back of his bison, which is nice to see. The resin is also soft enough that you can trim it down with a knife. I opted to put the wolf and the bear alongside the 2 wizardy types, so it made more sense that they are capable in combat, using regular superglue to attach them to the bases. Within Argatoria, Gaeldor is the more nature-focused faction, so a lot of their roster consists of tree men and animals, and various druidy barbarian wizard types. When the superglue had fully cured, and I was happy with the poses, I moved on to basing. So starting with Vallejo ground texture paste, I built up a level of groundwork around the base of the feet and the centre of the models. Then moving on to Vallejo earth texture paste and blending it to the edges, as well as filling some gaps that I'd missed. I also took a few small stones and applied them to the base as well, using the texture paste to stick them in place. Once the texture paste had dried, I moved on to priming. So I started with a layer of black gesso, covering the model, the base, and the rim. I followed this up with dark brown from AK Interactive, giving a dry brush over the entire model and the earth texture paste, so you get a nice zenithal brown highlight. For the skin tones I used rust brown, and filled in with a tiny brush. At this stage I'd like to put a baseline down for the metallics, and opted for Boiler Black from the P3 paint range. For the main cloth colour, I went for a green-brown, and applied it on the hoods and the cloaks, as well as the saddle for Marhok. The 2 wizardy fellas have a mantle of leaves, so going with a mid-green, I picked out the individual leaves and the vines between them. Moving back to the flesh, going in with a lighter tone, so that I could emphasise the muscularity. For the beards I opted for a mixture of white and browns, going in with a light grey paint and trying to pick out the individual strands, and also trying to emphasise the middle of the beard as opposed to the top and the bottom, so you get a bit of that natural hair sheen to it. Where the beards were pointier, emphasised the bottom of the beard instead. I then worked up to lighter colours, so that each individual strand would be emphasised. Only a few final details left, so using a mid-brown to pull out some of the highlights on the wood hafts and the belt, and giving a light coating of grey and a tan brown to the furs. The artwork also depicts Marhook with a green helmet, so I went in with a sort of opal colour and gave a tint to the helm. The leaves got a quick once over with a lighter green, so that the tips would be emphasised. Then any of the bone or horn sections got a light coat of beige, focusing on the tips and the ridges. There are a few small gold details, so a few of the heart of the swords, as well as the coinage on the back of Marhook's saddle. Then moving to a tan brown, and using a knackered brush to apply highlights onto the texture. Moving to the best step, I got a few tiny 2mm tufts from Gamer's Grass, and applied them around the base. And as always, can't forget to paint your rims. So I've taken greenish brown for Vacant Interactive, and 2 thin coats to get a nice consistent coverage. With those final touches done, the models were complete. So 4 Gaeldor heroes, 2 of whom have pets, and Marhook the hero on a bison. Just as a reminder, Marhook does also come with a small regiment of barbarians, but I covered them in a previous video, so I won't show them off here. But yeah, some nice models, and very fun to paint. But anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I hope to catch you next time.